Hello everyone, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's the vibe today? Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you're not new. Hi, it is so lovely to see you again. Today I'm going to be reading some more true paranormal encounters off of Reddit. So the subreddit I'm going to be reading from today is r/paranormal encounters. Basically it just needs to be a true paranormal story that has happened to you. Don't exaggerate it and keep it in first person, basically, is what the subreddit is about. So this first story is by user shouting_monkey. Grab your beverage of choice and let's just dive right in. Cheers. This happened about 25 years ago, but I still think about it on a regular basis. At the time, my two boys were around 6 and 8 years old, and happened in a small town about 20 miles from Skinwalker Ranch in the Utah. I don't know if this is a spelling error or if that word is like supposed to be pronounced. It kind of looks like it's supposed to be Utah Basin, but that doesn't look correct. I don't know, and I'm not gonna look it up either. I don't care. Having grown up there, I had more than a few personal experiences that still give me the chills, but this event was beyond anything I've experienced before or even heard about. My two boys slept in a bunk bed in a room just across the hall from my room. I was fast asleep when I was suddenly woken up by the most intense and terrifying screams from my boys, screaming and crying out for me. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my pistol from the top of my dresser, and threw open my door. How do I say this? There in front of me, running out of my son's bedroom, was a 2 to 3 foot bright green creature. I know you're lying. What the fuck do you mean, a 2 to foot? Bright green? I've heard of Skinwalker Ranch. I know that there's like documentaries. I know that YouTubers have gone there to investigate, but I haven't, as far as I know, I don't think I've watched any videos. I just haven't been interested. Bright green, 2 to 3 foot tall creature. I'm gonna act like that they made that up, whether they did or not, because that makes me uncomfortable. I have no idea what it was, but it looked at me as I exited the room and shot down the hallway, made a quick turn, and shot down my basement stairs. Keep in mind, all of the lights were off, but this thing stood out. Bright green in color with black patches on its face and body. I only got a quick look at it, but what my kids would tell me terrified me. I ran into the room and flipped on the light. There they were, both of them standing in the middle of the room, holding their pillows. They were crying and screaming so hard I couldn't understand what they were saying. My wife came in and began to calm them down while I went looking for whatever just ran down into my basement. I searched everywhere, every corner, but found nothing. I went back upstairs and asked my boys what happened. Without going into great detail here, what they told me was horrifying. My youngest son told me he woke up and noticed something green hunched over, standing in the doorway, just looking at him. He wasn't sure what it was, so he sat up, and when he did, this thing started grinning at him with big teeth. Ew. Causing him to let out a scream, waking up my older son. While my younger son was telling me what he'd seen, my older son spoke up and said, "It looked like Darth Maul, but green." Hold on, I'm gonna look that up. Darth Maul. I feel like it kind of seems like a Star Wars thing. Yeah, it is a Star Wars thing. I've never seen Star Wars, sorry. If I was sleeping and I woke up and saw something like that and then it grinned at me, you bet I'd be pissing my pants, dude. Big If this sounds familiar, Darth Maul is a Star Wars character. And now I know, I just looked it up. Look him up and you'll get an idea as to what this thing looked like. I just did. And don't tell me what to do. Imagine a short, hunched over Darth Maul. Got it. I'm imagining. I don't like what I'm imagining. Now I guess out of fear, my youngest son grabbed his pillow and started hitting this thing, which had now moved into the room closer to them. He then tells me it grabbed a hold of his pillow and started growling at him. One of my cats just sneezed and I almost just shit myself. This caused my older son to start screaming as well, and within seconds he joined in with his pillow, hitting it over and over. A pillow's not gonna do anything, you stupid little 8-year-olds. I'm sorry, that was mean. Hitting it over and over until it suddenly let go of the pillow, turned, and it started back towards the bedroom door. I think it must have heard me open my door, because this is about when I saw it. Like I said, I didn't get the best look at it, but it was bright green with black patches, and it moved extremely fast. This event had a profound impact on my youngest son. Now, of all times, he chooses to chase a ball around. From this point forward, he would only sleep with his head covered, which always worried me. I had to sleep in their room for the next week or two before they would go to sleep without me. Oh my god. I had to sleep in their room for the next week or two before they would go to sleep without me, and only with a lamp on in the room. I like to sleep with a lamp on too. Sound hard to believe? I get it. Had I not seen it myself, I would have thought that they were imagining things. Seeing is absolutely believing. Was it a demon, a ghost, an alien, or something else entirely? I don't have a clue. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't know either, but I can say that it's a big that's what it is. It's a big never want to experience that myself. I don't have a clue, but I know it was not human and we never saw it again. Even today, they still draw very similar pictures of what they saw, and while they don't like to talk about it with me, their descriptions have never changed. Well, no, it was probably traumatizing. I had an experience with something very similar when I was about 8 years old, and I sometimes wonder if it was the same thing. What I can tell you is that this is real, 100% true event, and the first time I've shared with anyone outside of my family. I don't expect anyone to believe it, but I'm telling you it's all true. Anyway, yeah, I don't think I would never recover if I seen something like that. I'm just gonna move on from that because I'm gonna tell you that is uncomfortable. All right, this next story, I still remember what she looked like. I remember it all. This is gonna be a scary ghost story, I just know it. This was posted by user_Lady Kryptonite. Honestly, that's a slay name. It was 1998. I was 8 years old and visiting my dad's childhood home. The town where he grew up was so small that you could drive through it within 10 minutes. My college town was like that. I still remember the smell of steak from the mom and pop owned restaurant, the sweet cookies from the bakery, and even the cigarette smoke from the hair salon that my grandma used to run out of her basement from 15 years earlier. Oh, my grandma used to smoke and run a hair salon too, but it was in like the front parlor area. The house had to have been built in the early 1900s. The floors creaked and there were vines all over the front of the house that my dad wanted to get rid of, but my grandma liked the way they looked. Slay, grandma. I want vines on my house too. I wish I could have vines growing up my apartment. Gave her privacy, she said. On the wall? Okay. My brother slept in my dad's old room, which was primarily blue. Blue is cute. I remember the Chicago sports team posters on the wall, edges torn and frayed from time, and the occasional water damage. Out of the 2 remaining rooms, I chose my grandmother's linen room, and my parents took the spare room downstairs. I remember the room being frilly. White frilly curtains matched the white lace comforter on the bed, her sewing machine in the front right corner. In front of the window is where she would watch my dad play in the backyard. My dad playfully whispered, "That's the haunted room." My dad was and still is a jokester. I remember scrunching my nose at him and putting my suitcase on the floor in front of the bed. Little did I know he wasn't kidding. That night, I remember falling asleep easily. My biggest worry was that I would wake up in a puddle from my 4-year-old sister who shared a bed with me. I have experienced that. We had bunk beds, and for whatever reason, I ended up in her bed. I think she was having a nightmare, if I remember correctly, and I also woke up covered in piss. Siblings are so great. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and looking around. Everything was dark except for the dim light that came from the bathroom down the hallway. The shadows from the sewing machines hit the wall and looked like boxcars. I turned over to face the left side of the room, and that's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was my mom. A silhouette of a woman was standing in the doorway of the room. She was wearing a white dress. My mom didn't wear dresses, not even a nightgown. She had long, fine hair. My mom had the typical fluffy 90s do cut at her shoulders. I quickly realized this wasn't my mom and panic set in. She was all white, skin, hair, dress, everything. I remember she had a subtle glow about her. She was leaning on the doorframe watching us sleep. Her head was tilted to the side, resting in her right hand, and that was being supported by her elbow against the frame. I wasn't scared. She was terrifying but comforting at the same time. It was like she was watching her own children sleeping. Lovingly? I remember closing my eyes and praying she wouldn't come near me. And she never did. The next morning, I went to the kitchen where my grandma was already awake making us breakfast. Waffles with several different types of syrups, a huge bowl of assorted fruit. I didn't talk or eat much for the majority of breakfast, and my dad definitely took notice. After a few minutes of coaxing, I finally told him what I saw. He immediately looked at my grandma and said, "Ha, I told you." I mean, it's nice that it was like a comforting presence, I guess, but I would also be unsettled if I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a woman watching me sleep, because what the fuck? You look like you could use some crystals. Yeah, I think you want some crystals. Luckily for you, I handmade crystal jewelry and I sell them on my website. If you want to check out Winter Witches Crystals at bigcartel.com, here are some examples of some of my work. You can see some more of it there. I am having a sale at the moment. Everything will be linked down below, as well as the current discount code. So if you are interested in any cool crystal jewelry, growing your crystal collection in general, or you want some oddities, I do sell a little bit of that as well as some crystal candles, by the way, handmade, hand-poured crystal candles. You can't get anything better than that. Good price, and like I said, on sale. Use my discount code down in the comments. And now back to the video. Okay, so this last one luckily is pretty short because this video is getting a little bit long. It's going to take a long time to edit. Speaking of taking a long time to edit, if you guys are not subscribed already, you've already made it this far, so you might as well subscribe and leave a comment letting me know if you have any paranormal stories yourself or what you think of these paranormal stories. Don't forget to subscribe. This last story is titled Woman in Black from My Childhood. This is posted by user even-hurry-890. When I was a kid, like 3 to 4 years old, I remember a tall lady dressed in black tight clothes that would come in our house like a normal guest, and I was always scared of her because she always stared at me in a creepy way. My mother would just do her stuff in the house and the lady would sit on the sofa. Now the fun part. I asked my mom about her last year and she looked at me confused like, what are you talking about? She told me she had never had a guest like that, but it's weird because I remember her every single detail and even her name. Goga? I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I'm just gonna go with it. I never asked anyone about it, so I didn't know what it could be. So if anyone knows about these things, feel free to comment. I really want to know what Goga can be. Goga can be out of my house. Goga can go get gone. Goga can go visit someone else because I'm going to go. I don't have any more puns. But no, that would terrify me. I was just about to say, why wouldn't you tell anyone? And then I remembered I might not have said anything either because, but what? But if the mom didn't react, they didn't even like say anything. I don't know. I was kind of a weird kid too, and sometimes I would see things, but I also like in the past had like asked my parents questions about certain things that I like seen, heard, felt, experienced, etc. And they gaslit me and told me that I was lying or that I was making it up. And I ended up finding out years later that some of the stuff I had talked to my parents about, and like one time saying to my dad, you know, I thought the house was haunted. My cats are still playing with their toys. Like, I thought the house was haunted. I thought I heard something. I thought I saw something, etc. And like years later, my dad goes, oh yeah, there's been plenty of times like I thought the house was haunted, and because I like heard people talking or heard people walking around, whatever, I went to check on you guys, being like my siblings and I, and we were all just like fast asleep, but like, you know, just different weird things that we all had experienced. Like my mom and I saw the exact same apparition, and then I ended up finding out recently that my brother did also. I know my mom and I saw him on the same night because that's the one time I like brought something up to her and she actually was like, oh yeah, same. And we saw him on the same night, and I talked to my brother about it like a year or two ago, and he also saw the man, but we don't know if it was the same night. But it was weird because we had like the exact same, like just the exact same image, very slight differences. But anyway, so that's the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what your thoughts are and if you have any paranormal experiences for yourself. So that's all for tonight. Have a good night, and I will see you guys in the next video.